in my own hometown. Stranger.
Howdy all, Little John here. Today we're brewing a all-grain Pilsner, German Pilsner, as you would have seen at the start. So I'm just in the process, I'm just getting everything up to speed, ready to go. Now, a few people have asked for a bit of a look at my setup and what I use. This is a fairly basic setup, so I'm going to give you a bit of a run through. I'll grab the other camera, we'll go and have a bit of a closer look at it. Righto, so this is the setup that I'm currently using. Covers over a couple of tables. So we'll start off with the mash tun, which, as you can see, it's a Techni Ice. It's a 40 litre cooler, and inside that I've got a beer belly false bottom, which runs off, connects through the tap on the outside, and it runs through down to the Keg King pump, the magnetic drive, which feeds back up into my improvised Herms system, which is just a little 6 litre stock pot from the local Big W, bit of a copper coil, and it's just suspended with a little bit of scrappy coil there. It does the job nicely. That's just sitting on a little hot plate that I got from Aldi for about 20 bucks, I think, by memory. Got the temp controller there, and that's running from the outlet of the mash tun. And I'm currently bringing up to 35 degrees, and there you go, and the pump just kicked off. Okay, so from our Herms we pump back into the tun through said hose, and I just let that run in there, and that does my recirculation. So that's it. It's pretty simple. Didn't cost me a lot of money. All up, probably about $400, and it does a really good job. But yeah, it was a little bit silly to get together. That's the way I've done it. It's taken me a bit of time to get there. Okay, so I'm going to switch back over to the other camera, and we'll continue on. We'll get this mash happening, and I'll just sort of explain where I'm going with it. Righto, so I've just thrown my grain in. As you see in the front there, it's 90% Pilsner. This one is actually Bohemian Pilsner. It's got a little bit more depth of flavour in it. I've got 5% Caro Hill. Again, that's just a little bit of colour and a little bit extra maltiness. And 5% wheat. And that's just help the head. Not really traditional, but 5%, you're not going to really notice it's in there, and it'll help just a little bit. So I've mashed this in at 35 degrees, nice and cool, and I've now set my temp controller and the Herms, and this is going to push up to 62. I'm not going to worry about stepping through anywhere. I'm just going to let it free rise up to there. That's probably going to take, 20 to 30 minutes to do that. So that's alright. And then once I get to 62, I'm going to sit there on 62 for about an hour. So just to explain how this system works, with the Herms coil, what it's going to do is it's going to keep the water in the mash, or the wort, at a constant temperature. So we're not worried about having to keep checking or adding water to it or anything like that. I just dial up the temp I want, and the pump's controlled by the controller, and it will keep running nice and quietly like it is now, and it'll just keep circulating the wort back in and slowly warm it up as it comes through the Herms, which the water in there is sitting about 90-95 degrees, and so it's constantly warming up as it goes. Yeah, it's now creeping up to 36 and a bit degrees. So that allows you to keep a nice constant temperature, and then what it also does is over time is it filters your wort constantly as you're going through. So your bed sets and you're constantly draining your wort back through that bed, and by the time you get to the end of your mash, your wort's really clear, which makes a big difference going into your fermenter and obviously end of the day into your bottle or into your kegs. Yeah, it certainly helps to get a better beer at the end. I've only used this system on a couple of beers yet, so I'm still getting a little bit used to it, but I'm pretty happy with it for the time being. It's working well. Pump that circulation up just a little bit. Slows down once the grain's in there. Yeah, it's just a case of adjusting the outlet on the mash tun to adjust that water flow. Okay, yeah, that's nice. That's getting a nice little flow over the top. I'm happy with that. I do have a dodgy upsparge which I've discussed on a couple of forums and stuff. It's just a old barbecue tray. This fella here. It's just an aluminium barbie tray. It's got holes in it. Punch through with a nail. You know, high-tech equipment. And if I'm using that, it just sits in the top of the mash tun. Fits really nice. It's like it was measured for the job. But I found I don't really worry about using that too much. It will actually come through the sparge, which you'll see a little later. Yeah. And what I like to do for about the first 5 minutes of the mash is just keep an eye on it and keep giving this a good stir. Make sure there's no dough balls and stuff in there. Make sure it's all wet and everything's going all nicely. And because I've got the recirculation going on, I don't need to worry too much about making sure this is sealed. I've constantly got warmer water coming in. The temperature's going to stay fairly steady through the bed. I can check occasionally with me little thermometer to see how I'm going. The temperature's usually off a little bit between the actual mash and the temp sensor, and at times it's varied as much as 20 degrees. I don't know exactly why, but yeah, I just make the adjustment for it. So at the moment the STC is telling me I'm at 37.2 degrees. The formula here is telling me I'm pretty close to about 41. So I'm a couple of degrees off, but that's grain bed as opposed to down there on the outlet. So that's not too bad. So I'll keep a check on that. Once I've got 62 in there, where I'm happy with, I'll adjust the temp controller to allow for that, and that'll run for an hour. So we'll let that go for the moment. Right, this is the yeast starter for this brew. I've used W3470. Got it up on the stir plate. It's from the Digital Home Brew Mob. That's been a great little bit of gear. Well worth a $100 investment to get one of those into your brewery. And it just sits there and stirs away. I put this on last night. Now I've gone against the usual sort of thinking with the yeast. I actually put 2 packs of 3470 in there because I couldn't get the liquid yeast that I wanted. And I've only put it in there because I was just a bit short on cells. I didn't want to buy a 3rd packet. I've just pumped it on with a very light mash of some of the German Pilsener grain that I steeped up, and it's just really to get the yeast starting up, just getting it feeding a little bit and ready to go into action. I wasn't trying to build up a lot of numbers. I wasn't that far short. I'm only doing a 14 litre batch, so it wasn't too bad. So I've just got that chicken over. I gave it a good feed of oxygen. For about half an hour. I gave it a really good stir and just let it sit nice and slow overnight. So I'm about to stick that in the fridge and chill that out so I can drain it off this evening when I pitch it. Righto folks, so we're back. We're just starting on the sparge. So just to run through on where we're at, so we've gone through, brought our temperature up to 72 for a mash out. We held it at 62 for an hour, brought up to that 72, kept it there for about half an hour. Swapped the hoses over, we're now just draining off into the kettle, and I'm now bringing in my sparge water. Now this happens manually. I've got another pot sitting over on the stove in the other corner of the garage, which heats my sparge water. Obviously this little fella is not big enough for a HLT. So started off, I had 19 litres in the mash and 14 litres of sparge water. And so we're only going for I'm only going for about 14 litres into the fermenter. It's only a small batch. Give me a 9 litre keg and yeah, about 8-10 bottles for comp season. Well, that's the plan. That alright. So we're slowly draining that and then bringing sparge water back over by hand. And this is where the cheapo sparge arm comes in. So this allows that nice clean sparge water to trickle onto the top so it doesn't upset the grain bed, while allowing us to rinse through on the fly sparge. So at the moment I'm sitting about 3 inches above the bed looking at that, which is quite nice. That'll rinse out nicely. This sparge water is 85 degrees, and I've found with 85 degrees it gets me to 72 by the end of the sparge. Sorry, not 72, gets me up to about 75. I've taken it off the heat so it doesn't stay at 85. It's not precise and it's not completely accurate, and there's probably plenty of people who want to poke holes in the way I sparge, but it works. Gets me temperatures where I need to. I've done it for a long time. With the equipment I've got, it's really the easiest way for me to do a fly sparge, and I prefer to do that than just do a straight batch sparge. I find I get a slightly better result. So I'll just keep adding sparge water on here while we're draining off. I might grab the other camera and grab a shot of the kettle and a closer look at this wonderful sparge arm. Okay, so there's our drain off into the kettle. I'll cut down keg donated kindly by an associate, and the mash tun, as you can see. That's the sparge arm. Plenty of holes in there, and it just drains nice and slow. You can see there we've got our bed. It's just sitting on the grain bed. You want to get a little bit more in there. So as I said, got the pot over the other side of the garage, sitting over here. Then we just manually transfer, and we go backwards and forwards. Dump it in. Nice clean rinsing going on down there. Back into the kettle. That's already up and running, so we're part way till we get into our boil. Barge is finished. The end of the runoff, that's done. The hose is out of the kettle. That's fired up, let that come to a boil, and that's going to boil for 2 hours. Yes, it's a long boil. I don't take chances anymore with Pilsner grain. I've had a couple of occasions where I haven't had the extended length boil and had DMS 2 times, and it's painful when you crack a beer after the amount of effort and it tastes like fucking cooked cabbage. It's not good. So I like to boil at least 90 minutes. 2 hours is preferable, and given that this is pretty much nothing but Pilsner malt, I'm not going to muck around with it. I want this nice and clean. I don't want any... Well, there's going to be some DMS. It's pretty hard to avoid with Pilsner malt, but I want as little as possible in there, so we'll give it a good 2-hour boil. And that's also going to help to, you know, emphasise the maltiness of the brew. So that's going to take a while. So an hour into that boil, I'll throw in my hops. We've got SARS, which will be to about 30 IBU. So it's got a decent bit of bite to it, like any good Pilsner should have. So put it on the boil, and I'll pop back, check in with you when we pitch in the yeast later on. Okay, so now into the boil. In goes 40 grams of SARS. A nice boil going there. So when they go up, we go for another hour. And that should give us about 30 IBU. And then we'll get the chiller in there and cool it down. Okay, the chiller's all hooked up. It's in. A couple of minutes to go on the boil, so it's in there just getting sterilised. Killing any bugs in there while we still got the boil on. So shortly we'll kill the flame and we'll start the chiller up. And that'll take about 20 minutes to get us down to a decent temp, and we'll transfer from the kettle into the whirlpool vessel and go from there. Righto. Yeah, so the boil's finished. It's just a look at, that's my chiller. Just a handmade jog 1/4 inch copper coil, bit of garden hose. I am planning on upgrading that to that nice stainless one there, but that'll take a little while. So what I've done now is I've transferred from the kettle, once she's cooled, into the Cooper's fermenter, the newer style. And what I use this as my whirlpool. So I'll let that sit now for about half an hour, and all the crap will drop out of that, and then I'll just transfer from the tap straight into my fermenter, and that'll aerate it nice and easy for me. Basically I've got no tap on my keggle, so this is the easiest way for me to do it, and it's helps with aeration and helps it to clear out as well. So that'll be it. Righto, and this is the yeast starter out of the fridge where it's chilled today. There's a nice cake of yeast on the bottom there, so I'll drain that off in a second and let that come to room temp while that's dropping out. And a little bit later I'll pop it into the fermenter, drop the yeast in and get it into the fridge. So that's it. That's an all-grain brew day on my system. So I'm not going to bother showing you how to put in the fermenter. I'm pretty sure you know how to do that. So until I see you again, good brewing.